students, welcome to this session. In the earlier 3 sessions, we had seen the introductory part of the structured query language, and we had seen the introduction to MySQL, the DDL commands that we can use in MySQL, the DML commands, and then in this session let us continue with more advanced commands in MySQL. One command that we use in order to sort the data ascending or descending is the sorting. This order by clause is especially useful when the listing order of the query is important. Suppose if you want to sort on some primary key or some other secondary key, ascending or descending upon any column that we have in the table, we can use this particular sorting command. The syntax goes, here you can see one example, select all the fields, that is why I am using the wild character, select star from employee, order by employee, hire date, descending. So this is how we use the order by command or else this sorting command. So in this particular example you can see I am selecting all the columns of the employee table, and the column in which we are preferring the order is by employee hire date, that too in the descending order. Suppose if you change this query to display all the employees listed by employee hire date in ascending order, just you have to change the last keyword to ascending. Select star from employee, order by employee hire date, ascending, there you can put the ascending. So in this way you can use the sorting command. Then there is another command called as the distinct command. This SQL distinct command is used to produce a list of values that are different from one another. Suppose if you want to find a distinct value in the column, existing column, so all those distinct values will be published on the monitor. So in order to use this particular command, you have to use the syntax select, distinct is the keyword you have to use, which column you have to mention from the table name. So let us see one example here. To list only different theme marks from within the attraction table, you would enter the following query. Which one? Select distinct park code from attraction. It displays all the distinct values of park code from the attraction table. So here you can see we had used the command select, distinct is the keyword, and I am using distinct keyword upon the park code column. So here a set of 3 data items were like published, FR1001, UK3452 and then ZA1342. So these are the 3 distinct values that we found in the attraction table. And then another command is the aggregate functions command. So in this aggregate functions command, we can perform mathematical summaries, like sum you can find on one of the column, the average. So likewise there are entire list of aggregate functions that we can apply in the MySQL. Let us see briefly about the aggregate functions. Count function is there, wherein which the number of rows containing non-null values can be counted. To find the minimum attribute value you can use the min command. To display the maximum attribute value you can use the command max, and then sum is there, as I told you average is also there in order to find the arithmetic mean for a specified column. Let us see one by one what is the syntax that we have to give in order to find these aggregate functions values. First is the count function. This particular count function tally the number of non-null values of an attribute. So count can be used in conjunction with the distinct class that we had discussed earlier. Distinct in the sense that we are finding like unique values, unique distinct values in a column. So there you can use this aggregate function count in conjunction. Let us see an example how to use. In order to find out how many different theme parks contain attractions from the attraction table. So here I am using select count park code from attraction. So, it displays all the theme parks that contains attractions from the attraction table. So, here I had given the command select count park code from attraction. So, here it is displaying the count. So, 11 different attractions were found in the attraction table. So, next comes the max command and the min command. The max and min functions are used to find the maximum value and the minimum value respectively. Suppose if there is a query to be put to the database, what is the highest and lowest ticket fare sold in all theme parks? So, in order to find out the highest, we have to use the max function, and the lowest we have to use the min function. How to go about it? Let us see the SQL command select minimum. So, here you have to use the keyword min upon ticket price and then max upon ticket price from ticket. So, here I am selecting the ticket price column and I am finding the minimum value and the maximum value from the ticket table to be displayed. So, this is how we can use the min command and the max command. Then comes to find the sum and average. As you do in the MS Excel sheet, there is a function called sum and there is a function called average. So, what you will do? You will apply the sum function for all the rows, for all the columns in a particular table. So, in a column, suppose if there are the pays given in one of the column against the employees. So, in order to find the sum of all the pay received in a month by all the employees. So, you will use the sum function over there. Suppose if you want to find out the average, then once again you use the average function. So, let us see how it works in MySQL. The command to be given is avj for average and sum for sum. So, here in this example, in order to display the average amount spent on theme park tickets per customer and the total number of tickets purchased. So, total number means we have to find out the sum, and average amount spent we have to find the average. So, upon the line underscore price, that is the column wherein which we are getting the amount spent. So, from that we can find out the average by adding all and dividing with number of rows that we have. And then here you have the total number of ticket purchased by using the sum function on line underscore qty. So, from the sales line table you can find these particular two, one is the average and the sum aggregate function values. Then this is the query that we had applied, one is the select average and then the other aggregate function we had used is the sum. So, here average line price is 54.24 something and then the sum is 61. So, in this way we can use the sum and the average aggregate functions. Then comes the group by. So, the group by class is generally used when you have attribute columns combined with aggregate functions in the select command. So, when you use it in conjunction with one of the SQL aggregate functions such as count, min, max, average and sum. So, here you are grouping, but generally you are clubbing or attributing, you are combining this particular aggregate functions in the select statements. So, one example we can see here is to display the minimum and maximum ticket price of all parks. So, notice that the query groups only by the park code, as no aggregate function is applied to this attribute in the select statement. So, here select the park code and the table that we are using here is the ticket table. So, we have to find out the minimum ticket price, the maximum ticket price by the given park code from the ticket table. So, here select park code, minimum ticket price, then maximum ticket price from ticket table, group by park code. So, here we are using a kind of constraint upon which we are grouping it, the minimum fare as well as the maximum fare. Then having is the class wherein which it is just an extension to the group by class and is applied to the output of a group by operation. So, previous slide we had seen how the group by function works, and here there is a sort of extension by using a having keyword. So, let us see and understand with the help of an example. To list the average ticket price at each theme park, but wanted to limit the listing to theme parks whose average ticket price was greater than or equal to 50. So, we are not considering here all the values, but here we are grouping it by having theme parks whose average ticket price was greater or equal to 50. So, only those theme parks we need to select. So, once again select park code average ticket price. So, from that we can get which is higher or which is least, depending upon that we can group the things. So, average ticket price from ticket table group by park code having average ticket price greater than or equal to 50. So, here we are finding the average, and from the average that we are getting, we are only taking the values, only displaying the park codes which has greater than or equal to rupees 50 as the average ticket price. Then comes the current date and current time. Suppose in MySQL if you want to display the current date and current time, so there are a set of commands like working with this particular date and time. Earlier we had seen some data types in MySQL in order to display the date and time. In order to put the data type for one of the columns in the tables, we use the date time, then timestamp. These were the data types that we were using. Suppose from MySQL command, if you want to know the current date and current time, it is possible by using the query select current date for the current date to be displayed and exactly current time, current underscore time function in order to display the current time. So, with these two commands you can find out the date and time. These two commands are meant only to execute on the command line. There is nothing to do with the set of like a setting up of the data type in the columns or in the table. So, in order to take or else in order to return, extract the month, day and year from the existing values. Suppose if the date is given in one of the field, the date of joining or date of retirement or date of submission. So, suppose if the date is as it is given in the table as one of the column, then from that particular date we can extract the day, the month and the year in order to work some more, like in order to work with some more data items. So, to have the day of the month, there is a function. From that function you can extract only the day from the date, and then there is another function month working on date that returns the month for date, and then there is another function year. So, whenever you have one column with the complete date, so from that particular column you can extract three different attributes, the day, the month and the year. So, let us see the query and understand with the help of an example. The following query shows how these three functions can be used to display different parts of an employee's date of birth. So, this is a simple query wherein which the date field was there existing in the employee table. So, from that particular employee table I have to extract the day, the month and the year, and it should be displayed under a column with the name DAY month and then YEAR year. So, here you can write the query as select day of month. This is the function we have to apply on the column employee underscore DOB, and it should be placed under the column with a new name called day, and then the month needs to be extracted and it should be put under month, and then year column to be retrieved and it should be kept under the year. So, the whole display will be shown like this. You can see we are taking the date from the table employee, and then the day is listed over here for all the employees, different column, and then the month and then the year. So, in this way you can extract the 3 different attributes from the existing date. Then comes the date difference. So, suppose if there is a requirement wherein which you have to find the date difference between 2 dates. So, directly there is a command in MySQL wherein which you can find the date difference. So, this date difference function subtracts 2 dates and return a value in days from one date to the other. So, in order to apply this command, the syntax needs to be followed is select, and then you have to use the keyword date diff, or else you can use the function date diff, and within that you have to use 2 dates. And then the following example calculates the number of days between 1st January 2008 and the 25th December 2008. So, the destination date should be placed first in the format shown over here. The 4 characters of year comes over here, then month, then date, comma, and then the 1st January. So, from this you can find out the date difference between these 2 dates. So, this is a command which is very useful once some difference between 2 dates, whenever you are submitting the self appraisals, or whenever you want to find out the vacation or something like that, you can directly use this command and store the date differences. Then there is date addition as well as date subtraction. Here it is slightly a kind of interval you have to provide in the function, wherein which in the date add you have to provide the date and then the interval what needs to be added over there, and then the expression and the units. So, where this particular expression EXPR wherever I had written, that is an optional, wherein which the expression, the EXPR is an expression specifying the interval value to be added or subtracted from the starting date, and unit is a keyword indicating the units in which the expression should be interpreted. Suppose if you mention days, it will be written in days, years it will written in years. Likewise, you can place the units, and then the expression specifies the interval value. Suppose if 10 days to be added to the date, so the 10 number constant needs to be placed over there. Let us see and understand with the help of an example. Here the following query adds 11 months. So, the unit that I am taking is months, and the constants that needs to be added is 11. So, here I am using the query select add date so and so. So, 11 months needs to be added to this date. So, interval is the keyword once again, and then 11 months, expression EXPR is 11 and then the unit is month. So, in this way you can apply for the days also. Suppose if you want to add 10 days to this date. So, what you will write? Select add date, you display the date that needs to be added, comma, interval, comma, 10 days. So, in this way you can write the query. Next comes the last day. The function last day returns the date of the last day of the month given in a date. So, directly you can find out the last day that is present in the date value. It returns the date of the last day of the month. So, either it is 30, 31, that particular date will be displayed as the value of this particular function. So, let us see an example over here. Enter the following query which lists all sales transactions that were made in the last 20 days of a month. So, select star from sales where sales underscore date greater than or equal to last day sale minus 20. So, this will display the list of sales transactions those were made in the last 20 days of a month. So, we are leaving that first 10 days and then we are only concentrating on the last 20 days. So, that particular thing, the query can be achieved by putting this command. Then there are several numeric functions. So, till now we had seen about the aggregate functions. how we can use those aggregate functions in the MySQL. There are a set of numeric functions that we can work with. So, suppose if you want to find out the absolute value on a numerical value that is stored in the column. So, there is a function called as ABS, and then another function that you have is round, in order to round a value to a specified precision digits. So, likewise you have a truncate, wherein which you can truncate the value or else the precision, and then you can display the whole value. Then there is another function called as the mod, which returns the remainder of the division. So, the syntax for abs is ABS within brackets the numerical value. Likewise, you have the other syntax for the other values. So, then there are other set of functions wherein which the string functions are listed over here. So, you can concatenate different character columns and returns a single column. For that you can use the concat, and in order to find the uppercase or the lower case, you have a string function called as upper and the lower, and then you have another function called as substring, and you can mention the start position and the length of the characters, and from a given source string you can find out the substring. And there is another function called as length, in order to find the string length of any column existing, and it will return the number of characters in a string value. So, before concluding this particular session, let us see what we had studied. We had studied some of the advanced commands in MySQL, that is the group by command, how the sorting is done, and then what are the various aggregate functions that MySQL supports and how to use them, and what are the various syntaxes that needs to be given whenever you want to use the aggregate functions, and where to use the aggregate functions, that also we had seen. Apart from this, we had seen the numeric and string functions. These numeric and string functions in detail we discuss in the next session. However, I had given you one exercise previously on banking database. Hope you had created the banking database, you had worked with the data manipulation commands, you had worked with the data definition language commands. Just apply the commands that we had discussed today, like the group by, the numeric values in order to find out the numeric values, and in order to find out the aggregate values on some of the columns, that you try out on your own. With this I conclude the session, and in the next session let us concentrate on the numeric and string functions, those are supported on MySQL. Thank you.